Live from San Diego, this is KUSI News.
The path to home ownership isn't always so simple here in San Diego, where the median price for a home is just over $1 million, and the median price for a condo is now $690,000. So we are going to focus on what's needed specifically to afford a condo right now. Joining me now to talk about it is real estate broker Mark Powell. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So we'll start on the thing that sounds a little less intimidating, which is the median price for a condo. And how doable is that for San Diegans these days?
It's very doable. Surprisingly enough, though, if you make $100,000 a year in San Diego, you're considered low income. And that's shocking because in other areas of the country, you're making a lot of money. But for a median price condo at $690,000, you need to put about 10% down, which is $70,000. Now that's kind of the showstopper for most people because they just don't have $70,000 lying around. So what they can do is they can ask for something called a gift letter or a gift funds. So let's say they can save $35,000, maybe they can borrow that other $35,000 from somebody that's generous enough, a rich uncle, parents, somebody that wants to help them out. That hopefully you have that kind of a person in your family. But as far as that buying a condo, that's the stepping stone to getting the single family home.
And how are condos looking here in San Diego? We were talking about it a little off camera, is that it seems that condos maybe aren't readily available as much as the home. So what is availability looking like for those who are maybe interested into stepping into home ownership with a condo first? Great
question. So I looked up condo prices before I came in because I just wanted to get a just a take on what they're at. I found condos for as low as the low 400,000s. I found condos for $4 million. I found HOAs for $175 a month. I found HOAs for $4,000 a month. So the median price condo, that's a condo in the middle. So there are condos that are lower. Now, if you want to get into a single family home, what I'd recommend is get a condo. Start with a condo. You may not get the condo you want, you may not be the exact location you want, but as you build up appreciation, you're going to be able to use that and use that for your down payment for your house. And note that it's gonna cost you about $5,000 a month if you do get a condo because of HOAs and your mortgage and your interest. But when you do buy a property, the first 10 or 15 years, you're paying the majority of its interest, and that's your biggest write-off on your taxes. So the interest deduction is great. And so your realized expense after you do your interest deduction is much lower than that $5,000 a month.
Right. You mentioned the $5,000, which I think $5,100 is about the amount that you would pay on that median $690,000 condo, but kind of put it into perspective compared to renters these days. I mean, the rent is going up tremendously as well, and this is at least putting you in the ownership lane, right?
Rent is out of this world here, and a lot of that has to do with rent control, because when you put landlords in a position where they can only raise their rent 5% plus whatever the cost of living is, not higher than 10%, every year they've been raising their rent because they don't know if they're going to be able to do that again. However, rent prices are softening. Landlords are finally figuring out, hey, we just can't afford this. We don't make enough money. We can't spend $3,000 a month on a 1 or 2 bedroom condo. So rent prices are coming down, and it looks like there's a little bit of softening in the market. It looks like it's heading more towards a buyer's market versus a seller's market as it's been for the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I know this is not relating to condos, but before we let you go, you just said you sold a home, and here's a good example of one that certainly went down in price, kind of leaning toward that buyer's market, right?
Originally, what happens is homeowners will look at Zillow or Redfin or one of the other these platforms. They'll see what the price is, but what they don't look at is there's a range, and they always pick the highest range. Well, the buyers are looking at the lowest part of the range, and so when they put their offer in, it's lower. So we had to reduce this property by a couple $100,000. However, it worked out for everybody.
Yeah, in the end it did. Okay, Mark, thanks so much for being here. As always, offering your insight with us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.